Hello, hello. Hey guys, welcome. This is Natalie Cutler-Welsh and welcome back to another series of my Impact Entrepreneur video series. So today I'm talking to Tracy Johnson.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Hi Tracy. So Tracy's from Next Steps NZ and we're going to be talking about the topic of resilience in the workplace. So I'm excited to dive in. So Tracy's got tons of tips in this area. Hi Natalie, thanks for joining us. Hey you guys, if you're joining us on the YouTube, the Zoom, or the Facebook Live, thank you so much. Definitely check out the rest of the videos in my series. We are basically collectively trying to help raise the state of health and happiness, mental health and happiness in New Zealand and beyond. So go ahead and tag people, share this message because this is crucial. We've got some work to do in this area. So hey Tracy, before we dive in to resilience in the workplace, can you let us know a little bit about you, a little bit of backstory about what you're up to and what brought you here?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm really passionate about helping people realize their full potential and mapping out the path towards their goals. I'm also really, really passionate about wellness and health within New Zealand and communities. And what caused that passion for me is my own personal experience. So I tragically lost my partner to suicide. And that was a big turning path in my life. And it's just made me aware of so many sectors of life, work, home, where we really need to focus on our well-being. And with the horrific stats in New Zealand, we need to be having these conversations. Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, that's what we're doing today is we're having, and I call it a hashtag conscious conversation because it's not so much interview, it's more just talking, like actually getting some of these topics out there. And I know a lot of people, tragically, I know a lot of people who have lost someone to suicide, and I think probably everybody knows somebody. So this is really important that we talk about how can we turn those stats around? I don't know. How can we be more resilient or help other people to be more resilient? Because not everyone's the same. Like some people, you were chatting earlier, and it was like two people can have something similar happen to them, and they can deal with it in totally different ways.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Let's talk about like what even does resiliency mean? What does it mean to you?
I think it's being able to look at a situation and stepping yourself back out of it a little bit, giving yourself that time to reflect. And it's really easy to just react off the bat and feel those emotions. It's about sort of stepping back and evaluating how you're feeling and before you're reacting. It's realizing that that moment will pass and you will come out of it. And it's thinking about how you are going to get through that situation and come out stronger and better. And that life doesn't have to be perfect. These ups and curves and downs are all part of life. And it's absolutely true. Like a lot of us are born with resiliency. It's a trait. So there will be people that are a lot more resilient than others, but there's also skills we can learn to help us be resilient.
That's good. That's interesting because it's like, that makes sense that some people who've been through something similar respond so differently. There's personality types respond differently, but also you can improve your resiliency.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can use mindfulness to be concentrating on how you're going to react to a situation, and that helps you be more a resilient person in that moment.
So let's talk about the workplace. Like obviously, I mean, for me, my workplace is here in my lovely home. I work for myself, but definitely people, you work with different clients, you have your family to navigate. And so we want to be resilient as entrepreneurs. And I know you work in like an actual workplace.
Yeah. So I have a corporate day job as well as the work I do one-on-one with clients. And that also sees me going out to other businesses. So seeing a variety of different working environments.
Yes.
I think it's crucial to sort of set some boundaries for yourself when you come out into the workforce. We can be just go, and we really need to be thinking about our health and well-being, whether we're at home or at work as well. So some of those clear boundaries could be having a conversation with your manager or your leader about what it is you expect from me for my work. What is it? What deadlines? What is expected this week? What is expected this quarter? And actually agree on them and ask some questions if you don't feel that actually fits and that's an achievable guideline. Have that authenticate that conversation with each other. Don't be afraid to sort of question what the expectations are, rather than feeling that pressure without being able to open up. Yeah.
So like a lot of people go into a job and it's like, this is your job description. But then as time goes on and the environment changes or somebody leaves, all of a sudden people can find themselves doing tons of stuff that's totally out of their scope of their job and maybe their wheelhouse and maybe their strengths. So having the boundaries or the confidence to then address those expectations, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And making sure that what you're focusing on is what the business wants you to focus on. So then your value is going to be recognized for the work you're doing. So making sure that you're on the same page with your manager. The other thing as well, I find with work, and I've been known to do this myself, we set huge expectations on ourselves, assuming that that's what our managers or leaders expect of us. Well, you know, if you go and ask yourself, the manager, the question, I'm sure they're not expecting you to be working, you know, till midnight at night, or whatever it is that you will be trying to work away to get something done. So just by having that conversation, it's more about actually setting the expectation with yourself and your manager, you know, being clear about your time and where your focus should be.
Yeah. And as you're talking about the workplace, my mind is going like, it's the same as in a relationship or in marriage. I know you help a lot of parents and teens, right, to have resiliency in their relationship with parent and child, parent and teen. But I think also, you know, it comes back to, I call it AORs, areas of responsibility in a marriage or in a parent-child relationship, having really clear expectations about what's expected so that you're like, hey, you know that you're supposed to unload the dishwasher drawer, like with our kids, once a day. Each kid, so there's 3 kids, each kid to unload or load a dishwasher. So it just comes back to clear expectations.
Absolutely. And that sort of leads into my second thing actually, is about, you know, we're talking about expectations now. What setting some for when you're going to be switching off your work emails, you know, like we're often, and I have mine on my phone. So how are you going to be switching off? How are you at night? How long are you spending on social media? It's too easy to be on 24/7 nowadays with technology. So that's something I need to work on myself. But that's also a tip that I've given others, is to sort of look at those boundaries so that you actually are, what is your relaxing time? Is it scrolling through social media, or is it actually reading a book or a Netflix show that you wanted to do, and actually owning that time as your free time rather than it just being wasted? Yeah.
And what helps you to be more resilient? I was thinking about this morning in the shower. For me, a hot bath or a shower is like, for me, it's my time when I'm actually really present and I can't be on my tech, obviously, and I can't be helping someone else, you know, which I'm often doing in my house, or I can't be being productive. You know, I just like, I'm just in the hot shower and the hot bath and I love it. Yeah. So for me, that helps me to be more resilient and making sure I do that. You know what I love doing? Pinterest. Scrolling through Pinterest, pinning stuff on my fashion board or my home or my goals board or whatever. I love it.
Yeah, I love going out for a walk. I love walking. That's sort of my getting out into nature. I do love a bit of Netflix as well, watching a movie. And I think that's quite funny because I notice myself when I'm scrolling through social media that doesn't give the same relaxation to me. But watching a movie is still technology, yet I'm feeling a lot more chilled out by that experience. So that's just, you've actually got to look at your day-to-day experience and figure out what works for you.
Hey, will you guys go ahead and comment if you're watching the replay or Facebook Live? What makes you feel relaxed? What helps you? What do you do in your daily or weekly routine to help you stay resilient? And I always like do this kind of posture, helps you to stay resilient, you know, that fills your cup or feeds your soul. So comment below. We would love to see. And often I find people get ideas from other people.
Absolutely. Yeah. I want some additional ideas. That'll be great.
Awesome. All right. So what else? So we've got the boundaries and the expectations, and then we've got the monitoring our own behavior and self-care and stuff.
Yeah. So then the third thing I think is about authentic relationships. So, we quite often will share with our girlfriends or our friends that, or partner at home, look, I'm going through this difficult time, and there's your person to sort of nut it out with. What I found, once upon a time in the workforce, you'd be very sort of, I'm here to work, and sort of, relationships were less authentic. It was about the job, but we're working so different now. The workforce has changed. We're working different hours, different locations. What my experience has taught me is that being more authentic is absolutely crucial. So bringing a bit of yourself to the workforce, not being afraid to share who you are outside of the day-to-day routine and jobs and tasks that are required of you. So bringing your experience from that, your other interests, sharing perhaps if something isn't going right at home. So, a scenario could be that you're going through a really tough time at home and you bring a lot of that tension, even without perhaps realizing it, sharing that around with your colleagues, which creates a really awful environment. And in the past, a lot of managers, particularly at that management or leadership level, wouldn't want to actually share that for fear of being vulnerable, changing the hierarchy. Whereas the authentic leaders that I've dealt with, and being more authentic with the people I've worked with myself, has actually built better teams, better leaderships, and better well-being for us. You end up being able to just offload, and then you can get ahead with your work day, or if you're sharing with the team around you, they can be supportive and take some workload off you. So yeah, definitely being authentic. Don't be afraid to be yourself, and being vulnerable is actually a good thing. It actually is. Being vulnerable empowers you. So it's saying it's like, you're vulnerable almost sounds like a word like you're being weak, but it's actually empowering you.
Yeah. I know Brene Brown talks about courageous leadership, and some of that is being vulnerable allows people to see you as a person, not just see you as like your name tag or whatever. Yeah. But at the same time, I think that there's also a fine line, just like on social media, it's like there's a fine line between letting people know what's going on for you versus like oversharing. And it would be the same in the workplace. It would be like, the boss or whoever might choose to say, hey, listen, you guys, I'm going through a bit of a hard time with my teenager right now, but respecting also the teenager's confidentiality. And so maybe not going into any sort of detail, but at least now they've opened that, that now people see them like, oh, okay, he's not just super pissed at our performance. He's going through a hard time with his teen. Oh my! And all of a sudden they kind of connect because they're like, oh my gosh, I remember when my 20-year-old was 17 and oh my gosh. And suddenly they're bonding on this different level, but it is a fine line between like oversharing versus being authentic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think maybe that it's that line that has people worried. Yeah. But I think you're quite right, is just to share a little bit, and then you can have a conversation of where within the parameters of feeling comfortable. But then everyone respecting that what you share is the amount you're happy to share. So you don't if you have that understanding in the workplace, probably from the offset is really good as well. Like, I think that you can sort of not want to probe too much, obviously, into the person's personal information, but I would just say being prepared to be a little bit vulnerable was actually an empowering thing.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. So you guys, we'd love to hear your thoughts as well, or your bits of advice that you found helpful in terms of resiliency in the workplace, whether you work in like a workplace like Tracy or a workplace like I do working for myself. Or even if you're working, in your own home, managing your family, how do you stay resilient? What do you do to make sure that those relationships as well stay resilient? And I'm excited to hear more about the stuff you're doing with parents and teens. So let's talk a little bit about I know that you do this annual event that you run. I'd love to hear a little bit about that. And then we can tell you guys about an event that Tracy and I are doing together coming up in Wellington.
Yeah. Okay. So each year I run a teen and parent goal setting workshop. So we would normally have 3 guest speakers along who share exactly their story. So a lot have had great success, but it hasn't come without them having to work really hard to get there and perhaps overcoming some adversities. So we get 3 speakers along. The idea is bringing teenagers and parents together to work on their goals together, because at that age it's really about respecting this person as they're moving into adulthood and actually supporting each other and deep diving into what it is that you really want to achieve. So we have, it's so much fun, and I've always been surprised at how many people have put their hand up and shared sort of, what their ambitions are, and it's really exciting to often hear from those things, all the exciting things that our young people are looking to do and achieve for their future. So it's really a positive experience.
Do you have a teen speaking as well?
Normally we have a youth, if they're not around the teenage age, they're sort of early 20s. So we try to keep a variety out of the 3 speakers, so that it with the audience, hopefully at least one of the speakers will resonate with someone in the group.
That's so good. Awesome. So stay tuned for that, you guys, that Tracy will be doing in the future. And now let's talk about the event we've got coming up. So I was so impressed with Tracy, you guys. A few months ago, I was heading down to Wellington to do some training with my doTERRA team down there. And Tracy was like, hey, should we do that event we've kind of been chatting about? And so with 8 days notice, we put on this event. Well, she basically did most of the work, the images, the Eventbrite. And our goal was 20 people. And Tracy, how many people did we get?
I think we got 45 or 48, didn't we, in the end? Yeah. Close to 50 anyway, I recall that, because I think we almost maxed out venue space, so that was fantastic.
That was amazing. And I think so I feel like there is a need in society. The topic was empowerment and wellness. Hey Tanya, amazing timing. I know that Tanya was asking if we were going to do one in Auckland. So the title that Tracy chose, which is it empowerment and wellness?
Wellness and empowerment workshop.
Wellness and empowerment, and that is something that really speaks to people. It's something that people are realizing this is a priority. I do want to have better wellness. I do want to feel more empowered. So we're doing it again. So it's going to be me and Tracy, and then we kind of change it up. So we usually bring in a different third person. So do you want to talk about Shirley and what she's going to talk about?
Yeah, Shirley yoga with me. She's going to be talking about not being able, you can't pour from an empty cup. And she's got a lot of experience coming from corporate career and also juggling family, and she has a huge focus on health and wellness as a yoga and mindfulness instructor. So it's going to be fantastic to have her join us for that workshop.
So I'll be talking about my my thing, which is helping people to up their brave. So it's #UpYourBrave, helping people to look at where they are. Quite a lot of people are sitting, I find, in the should zone or in the frustration zone in their own life, and helping them move on from that towards the up your brave zone. So I'm going to be sharing some tips on that. What are you doing?
I'm going to talk on overcoming self-negative talk, so being aware of how we talk to ourselves and some tips that we can put towards changing that, and also looking at ways we can carve out some little things we can do daily that will help us towards our goals and perhaps move up the career ladder if that's one of your goals.
I love it. Tracy is actually I call it a goal-getter. Goal-getting mentor. So helping people to actually not just identify what they want to do, but make it happen, putting the steps in place. So her business is called Next Steps NZ. You can check it out. Tracy's asking, so will you be doing one in Auckland?
Oh,
we will let you know.
Yeah, we'll let you know.
if lots of people want it, we'll probably do it. So yeah, this is really cool. You know what? It's interesting. My mom came along to that event. So my parents live in Wellington. If you guys don't know, I'm a Kiwi. Totally genetically Kiwi, but I was born in Canada, so I sound like this. Anyway, my mom came along, and afterwards she was like, what a lovely group of women.
Yeah.
She was like, not just the speakers, who obviously were amazing, but she was like, what a lovely group of women. Because what I loved about it is the engagement, meaning people were literally like on their seat engaged, but also they were like contributing. They were sharing, they were bonding. Like it was only a 1.5 hour, 2 hour event. But it was, people just genuinely want help within this area, and they're willing to share their experiences. It was cool. My mom was just like, what an amazing group of women. I'm like, yeah.
I totally agree. And I think that's it. We're holding these workshops. Yes, there's going to be 3 speakers, but we don't want to own the space and the time. Yep. This is an event for everyone coming along. You don't have to raise your hand, but if you have something to contribute, we want you to.
Yeah.
Like, this is a conversation.
Yeah.
So
I will put the link below. So anyway, if you're watching this or the replay, and we've totally done our event, it's in the past, just go and have a look at the blog that I will be writing, because I will share some snippets once it's come and gone. I'll probably put up some video and stuff like that, so you guys can get some tips on these things, like you can't pour from an empty cup. Part of that is resilience. You mentioned it with self-monitoring and self-care. And it's like we know intellectually you got to look after number one, but it's not easy to do.
You need to plan for it almost. Yeah. That's the thing. Put it in the plan.
You need to geek out a little bit. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Thanks, guys, for joining us today. So amazing. If you look up the hashtag Impact Entrepreneurs, you can go and find, hey, Steph, you can go and find a bunch of previous, I've probably done over 10 interviews with people and all these conscious conversations around things relating to health and wellness, raising the state of resilience in health and wellness in New Zealand. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Tracy. Any final comments?
No, just thank you very much for having me, and look forward to seeing everyone in Wellington on the 26th. If you haven't got your tickets, you can look up Wellness Wellington on Eventbrite. And yeah, I'm looking forward to all the comments.
Awesome. So where can they find you or follow you on social or online?
Just type in nextsteps.nz and I'll come up.
Okay, and there you'll be. All right. Awesome, guys. Good to see you.
Bye.